Alan appeared to be a worthless and miserably lonely teacher, but in reality, he was the strongest mage in the world. Despite his power, the Magic Academy refused to accept him. At first glance, Alan might seem simple and pitiful, but he possessed unimaginable magical power. In his town, social standing was defined by magical ability, and those without it were disregarded. The local academy admitted only those with talent, teaching them disciplines to strengthen their power. Those who excelled attained high-ranking positions, with some even becoming kings. Alan was exceptionally skilled, but a small mistake during his examination caused his failure. He received the results from the professor who had supervised his education. Since he failed, he had to leave the academy and return to his family. However, Alan was poor and had relied on passing the exams to support them. Desperate, he begged the professor to find him a job, as he could not return home empty-handed. The professor offered him a temporary position tutoring the daughter of a friend, explaining that Alan would earn a good sum quickly. Alan agreed immediately. After arranging the details, the professor told Alan he would be working for Duke Howard. While the Duke and his family were proficient in magic, his daughter, Tina Howard, was unable to use hers. Since her dream was to enter the academy, Alan's task was to teach her. Alan accepted the mission confidently. He took his train ticket and began the journey. On the way, he sent a message to Lydia Leinster, who was studying at the academy, explaining his situation and promising to visit her once his work with Tina was finished. Upon arrival, he was met by the Duke's servant, Graham Walker, who introduced him to a young maid named Ellie Walker. As they boarded the carriage and set off, Alan found himself watching Ellie with intense focus. Upon their arrival, Alan addressed the passenger. "Please step down from the carriage, Tina Howard. Do not be surprised. I know you are not the maid, Ellie Walker. Your attire is not that of a servant, and I realize you wish to greet me yourself to gauge my true character. Now, my lady, you have seen me." Afterward, they entered the mansion where the real maid appeared. She was the granddaughter of the head servant, Graham Walker, and was a shy, nervous girl who would apologize for an hour over even the slightest mistake. Finally, Alan met Walter Howard, who welcomed him with a mysterious smile before asking directly if he knew the real reason he had been summoned. Alan answered confidently that he was there to tutor Tina Howard for the academy. However, Walter Howard revealed a surprise. The professor had misunderstood the request. Walter actually wanted Alan to prevent his daughter from entering the academy. Alan was stunned as the Duke explained that while his eldest daughter, Stella Howard, had overcome weak magic to become student council president, his younger daughter, Tina Howard, was completely incapable of using magic. Walter Howard feared she would be bullied and crushed, and as a father, he wished to spare her that pain. As they walked through the corridor, Alan noticed Tina's remarkable skill with plants and proposed an alternative. If he could help her truly master magic, she would be safe from harm. Walter Howard agreed to the condition and allowed the task to begin the next day. That evening at dinner, Alan formally met Ellie Walker, who shared a sisterly bond with Tina Howard as both had lost parents. Walter Howard asked Alan to train Ellie as well, and Alan agreed, promising to help the maid build her confidence. He also introduced a magical black cat named Enko-san, a gift from the professor to assist with their training. The following day, Alan found Tina Howard, anxious in her room. He reassured her that he would help her achieve her dream, explaining that passing the academy required two specific things. Alan explained the two parts of the academy entrance exam: the theoretical portion, covering the sciences of magic, and the practical portion, involving battles to prove latent power. He placed a sheet of paper in front of Tina Howard, instructing her to take a simple test so he could gauge her true level before beginning their journey. By evening, Tina had finished the exam and sent it to his room. When Alan reviewed her answers, he was astonished. Every response was perfect, revealing an exceptionally advanced level of knowledge. The next morning, Alan approached her with the results. He praised Tina Howard for her unparalleled excellence, noting that since she had proven the limits of her theoretical knowledge, they were ready to move on to practical magic. Tina replied in a despairing tone, explaining that she had tried to use magic many times without success. All previous tutors had left in frustration, convinced there was no hope of awakening her powers. Alan reassured her, promising that as long as she remained determined, she would enter the academy without fail. He then asked why she was so attached to this specific dream. With shining eyes, Tina explained that her mother was a powerful mage whose dream was to see her daughter become strong like her. Alan answered firmly, promising to make that dream come true. Just then, Ellie Walker entered carrying a tray with a candlestick but stumbled, nearly dropping it. Alan reacted instantly, using magic to catch the tray in midair and gently set it on the table. Smiling, Alan decided to use the candlestick for training. He asked if she knew the elements of magic. Tina quickly listed fire, water, wind, earth, lightning, light, and darkness, adding that skilled mages can combine 2 or even 3 abilities. Alan confirmed this, noting that the Howard family was famous for combining ice and wind. He told Tina to step aside and observe, as he wanted to begin by testing Ellie's abilities. He asked Ellie Walker to light a single candle with magic. She focused intensely, and on her first attempt, the candle ignited. Alan praised her and then instructed her to use wind to extinguish it. Ellie tried her best, but failed to put out the small flame. Alan told her it was fine and asked her to step aside. He then turned to Tina Howard, instructing her to light the entire candlestick. Tina stepped forward and tried to summon her magic, but nothing happened. Alan then told them to watch him. Instead of simply lighting the fire, he manipulated the essence of magic, causing the candles to release all magical elements in a breathtaking display that left both girls in awe. Alan moved them on to the second lesson, which covered high-level magic where elemental powers, such as ice, fire, or wind, are embodied in the forms of majestic beasts like wolves, dragons, eagles, or tigers. He explained that the strength of these creatures depends entirely on the power of the mage summoning them. Returning to the candlestick for practice, Ellie Walker tried again, but initially failed, overcome by fear. Alan encouraged her, urging her to simply trust in herself. Ellie Walker gathered her resolve, and in a moment of revelation, she succeeded in making the candle release water instead of fire. She had passed the difficult test. It was then Tina Howard's turn, but as usual, she failed to summon her magic. Not wishing to pressure her further, Alan calmly ended the session for the day. He then headed toward the palace archives, a deserted place filled with ancient books. Alan was in pursuit of knowledge, searching for lost magical sciences that might help develop the girl's abilities. As he turned the pages, his eyes fell upon a strange-looking book filled with invaluable information unlike anything he had ever seen. Before he could immerse himself in reading, he heard the door open. He immediately extinguished his lamp and concealed himself. Tina Howard entered the archive, accompanied by the head maid, Shelley Walker. While they searched, she felt deep down that he was the only one capable of awakening her magic and would not abandon her like the others. Tina Howard eventually left to sleep, leaving Shelley Walker alone in the room. Suddenly, Shelley Walker called out in a confident voice, revealing she knew Alan was there. Astonished by her sharp perception, Alan stepped out of hiding. Shelley Walker earnestly requested that he never abandon Tina Howard, explaining that the girl had great dreams but had never been given a proper chance by previous teachers, promising she would be amazed by the change. Shelley Walker reluctantly agreed, and the day ended with a silent pact between them. The next morning, Alan woke early to help Ellie Walker with her duties. When the two of them went to see Tina Howard, she was burning with jealousy. She had begun to develop feelings for Alan. Unaware that Ellie Walker secretly harbored the same affection, Alan intervened to put an end to the childish dispute, bringing them back to the candlestick. Strangely, both girls failed to use magic this time. Alan then demonstrated his skill by conjuring 2 small kittens out of thin air, explaining that creating illusions of animals was an introductory form of training. He decided to end the lesson there, noting that learning multiple skills in a single day could weaken their progress rather than improve it. As he was leaving, a servant handed him a letter from Lydia Leinster. In it, she detailed her adventures at the academy and expressed how much she missed him. The letter brought a smile to his face, easing the burden of his long day. The following day, they returned to the candlestick test. Ellie Walker succeeded as usual, while Tina Howard failed once again. However, this time Alan noticed something different. Faint traces of magic had finally emerged from her hand. That night, Alan returned to the archive and opened the mysterious book. He was amazed by the value of the knowledge it contained, though his confusion deepened when he saw a strange, unknown emblem on one of the pages. Baffled but determined, He resolved to extract every piece of information that could help him develop the girl's powers. The next morning, Alan took Ellie Walker aside and asked if anything had changed in her life. She answered with a grateful smile, revealing that her grandparents, Graham Walker and Shelley Walker, had finally expressed their love openly. She acknowledged that Alan was the reason behind this change. Alan confirmed this, explaining that as long as she was trapped by psychological pressure, her latent magic would never emerge. He urged her to focus, citing her exceptional talent. To prove his point, he led her to the candlestick, where she astonished everyone with a brilliant performance and remarkable control. Tina Howard watched the scene with a heavy heart, feeling helpless despite Ellie Walker's encouragement. When Tina Howard stepped forward to try again, she failed as usual. Alan reassured her that patience was the key to learning. Afterward, Alan met with Walter Howard to discuss Tina's condition. The Duke spoke in a harsh, realistic tone. While he understood his daughter's determination, he believed she would be crushed at the academy in her current state. Consequently, he granted Alan only a few more days to succeed. If you can change her state, then so be it. Otherwise, she will never set foot in that academy. Alan felt deep distress for her sake, and when he returned, he found her still struggling in despair. He stood watching her, wondering what obstacle prevented her magic from flowing despite such determination. Early the next morning, Alan found Tina Howard asleep in the training yard from sheer exhaustion. He woke her gently, explaining that the book he held contained valuable information he had been relying on for her training. However, Tina Howard suddenly burst into anger and cried bitterly, shouting that she was tired of books and failed attempts. She was certain she was a failure who would never master magic, especially since even her closest friend had surpassed her. As she screamed in despair, a terrifying event occurred. A violent ice storm erupted from her body, threatening to engulf the entire area. Alan was stunned, knowing that uncontrolled magic was the most dangerous kind, capable of destroying its user. Once the link was established, Tina Howard's desperate thoughts reached him. I am a failure, and I will never be able to use magic. Alan used all his strength to push her beyond this despair. Feeling his support, Tina Howard resisted her weakness with every ounce of will she possessed, striving to control her energy. Suddenly, a majestic white dragon burst forth from within her. Alan was shocked to realize that this dragon's presence had been obstructing the flow of her power. The storm subsided, and silence returned. Tina Howard was overwhelmed with joy, both because Alan had saved her and because she had finally gained control over her magic. However, the creature addressed him directly, saying, "At last, you have found the key to this girl's heart, and you will be the one who allows her to unleash her magic." The dragon vanished, and suddenly, Alan collapsed unconscious from the immense amount of energy he had expended. When he regained consciousness, he found Tina Howard beside him. Alan said to her, "First, congratulations on awakening your magic. Second, I will entrust you with a secret that you must tell no one. I created a link between us, which supplied you with additional power to help you succeed. I have never granted this power to anyone before except my sister, Lainey Leinster, and my beloved Lydia Leinster, both of whom are in the academy you aspire to enter. But be careful, this power is not to be used recklessly." That evening, Alan returned to the mysterious book, extracting even more of its secrets. The next day, they resumed training with the candlestick. Tina Howard succeeded in releasing her magic, but due to a lack of complete control, she shattered the library ceiling with the force of her ice. Looking at the wreckage and recalling the ice dragon, Alan told her, "You possess deadly power, but it needs to be tamed." Tina Howard embraced him, crying tears of joy over her achievement. Later, Alan sent a message to Walter Howard, informing him of the mission's success. As Walter Howard read the message, his student Gil Algren, who was also a close friend of Alan, entered and was delighted to learn of his friend's success. Meanwhile, Alan once again stared at the strange emblem within the book, wondering about the identity of its brilliant creator and resolving to uncover the mystery. The following day, given the great progress made by both girls, Alan decided to begin serious training. He started with Ellie Walker, placing her in a confrontation against the head maid, Shelley Walker, who launched successive magical attacks. Ellie Walker evaded them skillfully and repelled the assault, passing the test with distinction. Tina Howard then stepped forward to complete her own test of mastery. After a long day of intense training, Alan went to meet Graham Walker to speak about the book and the mysterious emblem, demanding to know the identity of its owner. However, Graham Walker refused to answer. Alan did not give up. Instead, he began connecting three key elements in his mind: the dragon that emerged from Tina Howard, the voice that spoke through it, and the emblem inside the book. A sudden realization struck him regarding the book's true owner. He immediately went to Walter Howard to report the astonishing growth in his daughter's abilities, but the Duke remained firm in his refusal to allow her to enter the academy, fearing for her safety. He even asked Alan to leave, deeming the task complete. At that moment, Alan revealed a thunderous surprise. He had found a book in the palace archive containing rare magical knowledge, and after careful research, discovered it belonged to Rosa Howard, the Duke's late wife. Walter Howard was stunned, asking in disbelief if this was true. Alan confirmed that Rosa Howard had deeply wished for their daughter to excel in magic, showing her personal seal within the book as proof. He further explained that the white dragon carried Rosa Howard's spirit, which had remained by Tina Howard's side to protect her until she could release her magic. Faced with these truths, Walter Howard finally relented but set a final condition. The girls must face a powerful mage of his choosing. If they defeated him, they could enroll. Alan delivered the news to the girls, reassuring them that he would prepare them for the confrontation. Training began immediately with intensity. Tina Howard and Ellie Walker engaged in a direct battle against Alan, attempting to corner him with combined attacks. He deflected their strikes, urging them to use everything they had and to act as one, warning that their next opponent would not be easy. The following day, they gathered at the training field. Ellie Walker moved first, ambushing Alan with wind magic, which he deflected. Tina Howard then surprised him with an ice assault. Although he blocked the first strike, she showered him with projectiles from random directions. Suddenly, Ellie Walker descended from the sky, forcing Alan to withdraw as she surrounded him with magic. Alan drew a magic circle beneath his feet to repel the attacks, but Tina Howard joined the assault, and together, they managed to land a hit on him. Alan concluded the session, stating, "All right, the training is over. Your performance was outstanding, but we must stop now to preserve your energy for tomorrow's test. Go and rest, and prepare yourselves well." That evening, while Alan studied Rosa Howard's book in the library, Tina Howard entered, visibly anxious. She had been unable to sleep, fearing that failure in the upcoming confrontation would cause her father to forbid her from entering the academy. Alan reassured her, urging her not to let fear take hold, as her improvement had been significant. Tina Howard shared memories of her mother reading magical legends to her and showing her images of the ice dragon. Alan then handed her the book, revealing that the knowledge he used to train her came from Rosa Howard herself, who had left it specifically for her daughter. Overcome with emotion, Tina Howard vowed to win. The next morning, as Alan accompanied the girls to the battlefield, the head maid, Shelley Walker, stopped them and presented Tina Howard with a staff that had belonged to her mother, giving her a massive surge of motivation. The battle against the unknown mage commenced immediately. Ellie Walker attacked first with wind magic to push him back, but he blocked her subsequent charge and hurled her away. Recovering in midair, Ellie Walker used her magic to restrain him, allowing Tina Howard to freeze his feet to the ground. However, he broke free and soared high into the air. When the attacker attempted to strike Tina Howard, Ellie Walker saved her and tried to lure him into a trap, which he anticipated and avoided. Eventually, the two girls surrounded him and attacked simultaneously, but he blocked their strikes and unleashed a massive magical explosion. Alan was shocked by the overwhelming force of the ice magic and the sudden realization of the mage's identity. It was none other than Walter Howard, who had decided to personally test his daughter's strength. As the ice storm intensified, confusion threatened to overwhelm Ellie Walker and Tina Howard, but Alan shouted encouragement, assuring them they were equal to the challenge. At that moment, Walter Howard prepared a massive ice strike for a decisive attack, yet the girls cooperated brilliantly. They combined their magic to detonate the ice block before it reached them, putting on a legendary display of power. Walter Howard did not yield. Instead, he intensified his magical pressure and unleashed a snow wolf, a magical beast that made the situation seem impossible, as two young girls should have had no chance against such dangerous magic. Nevertheless, they gathered their focus and delivered a perfectly synchronized joint strike that only true professionals could perform. Even so, the wolf remained standing and continued its assault, prompting Alan to call out again, "You can do this. I believe in you both." In a decisive moment, the two girls grasped the staff together. As Walter Howard sent his wolf lunging at them, a surge of energy burst forth from the staff, summoning another magical wolf that intercepted Walter's beast in a fierce clash. Tina Howard did not stop there. She took a hair ribbon inherited from her mother and tied it around the staff, causing a devastating surge of power to erupt and completely annihilate Walter Howard's wolf. Everyone was stunned by this overwhelming force. With their victory secured, they headed to the station to board the train bound for the academy. Walter Howard came to see them off, confessing to his daughter, "I did not want you to enter the academy out of fear for you, but now I am at ease and confident in your ability to face any hardship. I wish you success, my daughter." The train departed, and after several hours, they reached their destination. The moment Alan entered the academy, he was met with a sudden fire magic attack, but he deflected it calmly, knowing the attacker was Lydia Leinster. She was angry that he had stopped writing to her in recent days. Alan reconciled with her, explaining everything that had happened while keeping the secret of the magical link he had formed with Tina Howard. He then told her, "There is something else I want to tell you," recalling his final meeting with Walter Howard in the presence of the two girls. Walter Howard revealed the true reason for Alan's failure in the exams. He had faced Gerard Wainwright and nearly surpassed him. To save face, Gerard Wainwright falsely claimed that Alan had failed to greet him properly, a line no one dared to contradict. Alan felt bitterness remembering the injustice, then revealed a secret he had never told anyone. "I am an orphan. I was raised by two women from the Leinster family, known as the Wolf Clan, which excels in magic. Lydia Leinster also belongs to this clan." Walter Howard replied with deep emotion, "Consider yourself an orphan no longer. We are your family now, my son." The professor, who had secured him the job initially, arrived and offered him the chance to continue working under Walter Howard by teaching Tina Howard and Ellie Walker. Alan did not wish to refuse his mentor, so he accepted the offer. He later explained to Lydia Leinster, "That is everything that happened before I arrived, and it is the reason I am staying here," before going to rest. The next day, Tina Howard and Ellie Walker put on their academy uniforms, preparing for their first lesson. Alan reassured them that he would always remain by their side before they left for class. Soon after, Lynie Leinster, Alan's foster sister, arrived with Lisa Leinster, Lydia's mother, who loved Alan like a son. They accompanied Alan to the student assembly square for the welcoming ceremony. Lynie Leinster spoke first, introducing herself as the student council vice president. She declared her pride in the Wolf clan, ignoring the discomfort of prejudiced students, and introduced the clan's greatest mage. She then invited Tina Howard to the stage. Though nervous at first, Tina Howard gathered her courage, speaking about the hardships she faced and expressing confidence in her future, offering special thanks to her teacher. Finally, Tina's sister, Stella Howard, the student council president, took the stage to deliver her encouraging speech. She urged the students to set clear goals for success, emphasizing that only the most deserving remain in the academy. The day ended with applause. The following day, Lydia Leinster found herself confronting the guards of Gerard Wainwright, the same prince who had caused Alan to fail. The prince was known for his unwanted affection toward Lydia Leinster, despite her disdain. Alan arrived at the scene just as the Sultan, likely Gerard's father or a high-ranking noble, contextually Lord Rod or similar authority figure, demanded an explanation. Lydia Leinster stated that his son was harassing her. When the prince attempted to falsely accuse her, Alan intervened firmly, telling the Sultan, "Forgive me, but your son lacks proper upbringing. Lydia would not have attacked him without cause. Keep your son away from her." Gerard Wainwright flew into a rage, insulting Alan and the Wolf clan. Alan replied sternly, warning him to watch his tongue. The Sultan stepped in to end the dispute, punishing his son and warning him to stay away from Lydia Leinster. From that point on, Gerard Wainwright resolved to take revenge. As Alan escorted Lydia Leinster away, she stopped him and said, "I have told you many times The fact that I am the daughter of a high noble and you are an ordinary man does not prevent our marriage. I love you and cannot live without you." Alan was stunned by her confession. Before he could respond, Tina Howard, Ellie Walker, and their new friend Lainey Leinster arrived in a carriage. Jealousy ignited in the hearts of the three girls toward Lydia Leinster, while Lydia felt equally jealous of them. Later, Alan returned to the academy to talk with his sister Lainey Leinster. Stella Howard soon joined them, and upon seeing Alan, she too found herself impressed. During their conversation, Lainey Leinster handed Alan a letter from the academy director, acknowledging the incident with Gerard Wainwright. Although the prince had been placed under house arrest, he remained dangerous. The director advised extreme caution as security had been reinforced. Alan kept this warning to himself. Shortly afterward, Stella Howard brought Alan his lecture schedule, and during their brief conversation, he noticed that her hair ornament resembled the one worn by her sister, Tina Howard. Stella Howard explained that she and her sister were raised on the same values, and told her they would continue the conversation later as it was time for the lecture. The students entered the hall, and Alan began explaining the lesson. He asked Lainey Leinster to demonstrate one of her spells, clarifying that every mage possesses a unique ability and that focusing on one's strengths is the key to developing magical power. He then asked Tina Howard to demonstrate her skill, but tension overcame her, and she nearly lost control of her magic. Alan intervened to calm her and restrain her energy. He continued his explanation by describing how to combine the elements of fire and water, emphasizing that a skilled mage masters the art of elemental fusion, and urged them to train constantly on this skill and the manifestation of magical beasts. After the lesson ended, Alan returned home with Ellie Walker, Tina Howard, and Lainey Leinster, where he gave them an additional lesson to further strengthen their abilities. The following day, Alan decided to reward them by taking them to the hot springs for relaxation, and his friend Gil Algren joined them. Upon arriving at the hotel owned by Lydia Leinster's father, Richard Leinster, they were surprised when the staff informed them that entry to the hot springs was temporarily unavailable due to an emergency, asking them to wait in their rooms. Everyone felt disappointed, and during that time, Felicia Foss, Lydia's friend, joined them. As boredom began to set in among the girls, Alan and Gil Algren went to the front desk to inquire about the nature of the problem and offered their help. The clerk revealed a shocking truth. The issue was not technical, but rather that the enchanted stone responsible for heating the water had mysteriously disappeared. Alan and his companions realized the stone had been stolen and that it fell upon them to retrieve it. While discussing the matter, Gil Algren recalled hearing of a bird that adored heat and could not survive without it, assuming it was the culprit. He suggested searching the caves surrounding the hotel, and they immediately set out. Alan asked the girls to remain at the hotel and took only Lydia Leinster with him. Along the way, anger was evident on Lydia Leinster's face as she felt that Alan had formed a magical bond with another girl. He tried to evade the question, but she told him firmly that she would uncover the truth soon. She had barely finished speaking when they discovered the cave before them. To their surprise, the girls had followed, eager to participate. Alan did not object, and they all entered together. Inside, they found the enchanted stone and discovered that a massive bird had placed it beside its young to keep them warm, as the cold threatened their lives. Alan assigned the girls two tasks. First, to retrieve the stone without frightening the hatchlings or endangering them by finding an alternative heat source, and second, to complete the mission before the mother bird returned. The girls devised a clever solution, finding an ordinary stone and using fire magic to transform it into a heat source resembling the enchanted stone, which they placed beside the young birds to solve the problem. Suddenly, the mother bird returned in a state of fury and agitation, but Lydia Leinster confronted her with a sword, blocking the magical attack that burst from the creature's mouth. Alan intervened, using his magic alongside the professor's cat, Anko-san, to calm the bird, explaining that they had no intention of harming her young. Once the bird calmed down, Alan decided to leave the energy stone with the hatchlings due to their dire need for it, promising the girls that the professor would provide a replacement. He explained that while he had been capable of solving the issue from the beginning, he wanted to turn the adventure into a test, which they had passed with distinction. Everyone returned to the hotel and spent an enjoyable time, but that evening, something unexpected occurred. Prince Gerard Wainwright managed to reach a chest containing a legendary royal dagger that granted its wielder invincible power, provided they possessed sufficient intelligence to use it properly. Otherwise, any experienced mage could defeat its holder with ease. The prince wasted no time and immediately went to Tina Howard and her friends, challenging them to battle out of revenge against Alan and Lydia Leinster, while also accusing Lainey Leinster of inciting Lydia to reject his marriage proposal. Fury ignited within the hearts of the three girls, and they declared their readiness to face him without fear. Everyone headed to the battlefield, where the two guards accompanying Gerard Wainwright were astonished by his desire to fight young girls. However, Gerard betrayed them, killing both guards with the royal dagger. The girls were left in shock at the brutality of his act and the realization that he had stolen the most powerful royal magical dagger. Before he could launch his attack, Tina Howard froze him in place with ice magic, yet he shattered the ice with ease, signaling the start of a merciless and violent battle. At that moment, Alan arrived and rebuked Gerard Wainwright, saying, "How long will you continue like this? Boasting of your power against young girls? Come and face someone of your own strength." The girls tried to persuade Alan to let them handle the situation, but as he turned toward them, Gerard Wainwright attempted a treacherous stab. Alan deftly evaded the strike and launched a counterattack using all elements of magic until he managed to bury Gerard beneath magical earth. However, Gerard Wainwright freed himself through the power of the dagger and attacked again. Tina Howard froze his hand, yet he shattered the ice once more. Despite this, fear did not enter the girls' hearts. They attacked him simultaneously, throwing his calculations into disarray. Alan seized the opportunity, using lightning magic to weaken the prince while the girls followed with relentless attacks of ice, wind, and fire. Gerard Wainwright rose, blazing with fury despite his severe injuries. When he tried to lunge at Alan, Lydia Leinster suddenly appeared and delivered a powerful kick that sent him flying in a legendary entrance. With every blow he received, Gerard Wainwright began transforming into a demonic form. This did not shake the resolve of Alan and Lydia Leinster, who attacked him together. Lydia struck him with her sword while Alan bombarded him with magic until Lydia unleashed a fiery blow that sent him completely out of control. At that moment, the Academy director arrived and declared that the dagger must be destroyed and Gerard eliminated before he fully transformed into a demon. No sooner had the director finished speaking than Gerard Wainwright regained consciousness, surging with immense energy, immune to fire magic. As he moved to strike Lydia Leinster, the director trapped him within a magical barrier. Lydia called out to Tina Howard for help, and Alan grasped the staff, merging his power with Lydia and Tina in a formidable alliance. As they prepared to unleash their strongest attack, they asked the director to remove the barrier. With their combined power, they manifested the Ice Wolf, which lunged at Gerard Wainwright with overwhelming force. The prince tried to use his demonic eye, but the wolf froze his movements. Lydia Leinster charged him with her sword while Tina Howard summoned an iceberg to merge with Lydia's blade, delivering a decisive strike that split the royal dagger cleanly in two. As the dagger shattered, Alan, Lydia, and Tina collapsed from exhaustion, having completely depleted their magical energy. After a short while, Alan regained consciousness to find Lydia Leinster sitting beside him. He thanked her for saving him, but she was seething with anger after discovering the magical bond he had formed with Tina Howard. At that moment, Lydia's mother, Lisa Leinster, arrived to express her gratitude to Alan for his bravery. He replied brokenly, "I do not deserve the position of teacher. Had I not challenged Gerard, things would not have come to this." Lisa Leinster reassured him, saying, "The girls here hold you in the highest regard and will not accept your departure. What happened was not your fault. Now you must rest." That evening, Alan went for a walk and found Tina Howard sitting in the garden, sorrow covering her features. When he asked what was wrong, she burst into tears, saying, "I feel that I am not worthy of standing beside you in battle. Lydia is more deserving of that." Alan replied calmly, "I saw her might today. Lydia is strong because she has trained for many long years, and you will surely reach her level one day." The next morning, Lainey Leinster approached Alan to discuss Ellie Walker's condition. She explained that Ellie had been suffering from psychological exhaustion since the last battle, feeling frustrated because Tina Howard, who had only recently begun training, had surpassed her by far. Alan promised to speak with the maid and asked Lainey Leinster to keep him informed of any developments. Afterward, Alan met with the Academy director, who informed him of Prince Gerard Wainwright's imprisonment. Alan took the opportunity to mention the white dragon that had appeared to Tina Howard and the mysterious voice that only he could hear, a phenomenon that had recurred during the recent battle. Before they could finish their conversation, Stella Howard entered to request leave for her friend Felicia Foss due to illness, assuring them that she and Lainey Leinster would take responsibility for recording the lessons. After Stella Howard left, the director praised her diligence and helpfulness, noting that she deserved her position as student council president, even though Lainey Leinster was perhaps more deserving in terms of raw magical talent. Unbeknownst to them, Stella Howard had overheard this conversation from behind the door. Memories resurfaced of her father, Walter Howard, who had opposed her entry into the academy due to her weak abilities. At the time, she believed he was belittling her, so she had decided to leave and prove her worth despite everyone's doubts. Indeed, she had achieved her status through sheer effort, yet she felt bitterness whenever she witnessed her sister, Tina Howard's, superior magical talent. Pushing those thoughts aside, she went to visit Felicia Foss, where a group had gathered. After the students dispersed, Stella Howard left, accompanied by Lainey Leinster. Sensing her distress, Lainey tried to invite Stella to her room, but Stella preferred to remain alone. The moment she entered her own room, she surrendered to her inner anxieties. She imagined a smaller version of herself standing before her, scolding her, "You are weak and not like your peers." The proof is that during Gerard Wainwright's battle, you stepped back while your sister Tina Howard rushed forward to fight. You will always be inferior to her. These bitter visions left a deep mark on Stella Howard's heart, causing her to withdraw from everyone and lock herself away. Meanwhile, Alan walked with his friend Gil Algren, discussing his desire to improve his teaching methods. Gil Algren warned him, noting that while his plans were impressive, he needed to be careful of those watching him with hostility due to his ties to the Wolf clan. Alan replied with faith, stating he left the matter to the creator. As they walked, he saw Stella Howard passing by alone, sorrow clearly visible on her face. Later, Alan met with Tina Howard and asked if she had noticed any changes in her sister. Tina denied it with surprise. Alan then changed the subject, asking if she had heard a voice coming from the White Dragon during the battle with Gerard Wainwright. When she replied that she hadn't, Alan explained that the voice belonged to a guardian beast and could only be heard by those possessing immense magic. He promised to stay by her side until her full latent power was released. Subsequently, Alan gathered Tina Howard, Ellie Walker, and Lainey Leinster, explaining the necessity of learning the art of magical linking, which he had used previously. When Lydia Leinster arrived, Alan demonstrated the link between himself and her so the girls could learn from a practical example before sending them off to rest. Meanwhile, Stella Howard pushed herself through harsh training but failed to reach her desired level. She returned to her quarters, comforting herself with memories of her mother and swearing to double her efforts. The following day, the girls attended training except for Felicia Foss, who was burdened by heavy worries. She explained that her focus on studies had caused her to neglect her family's trading company, leading to a missed deadline for a contract with a major corporation. Lainey Leinster presented the issue to her brother, Alan, just as Felicia arrived with the company reports. After reviewing them, Alan noted the deterioration but promised to solve the problem. The girls invited him to dinner, and while he agreed, he noticed Stella Howard's absence again. Though told she was busy, he remained deeply worried. Later, Alan met with Felicia Foss and her father, Ernest Foss. He explained that while regulations forbade him from helping as a teacher, he would assist them in a personal capacity. Thanks to his connections, Alan secured a new contract and prepared the legal documents, overwhelming Felicia and Ernest with joy as they realized this would expand their business to new horizons. Felicia Foss returned to the girls' dormitory deep in thought about Alan, realizing that affection for him had found its way into her heart as well. The next day, Alan met with Lisa Leinster, Lydia's mother, and learned that she had decided to support Felicia's project and her family. She added that Felicia Foss possessed an innovative investment idea that she would carry out independently, marking the realization of a long-awaited dream. When Felicia arrived, she was overwhelmed with joy and expressed her heartfelt thanks to Alan for standing by her. Felicia Foss went to share the good news with her friends, Stella Howard and Lainey Leinster. While happiness filled the room, bitterness consumed Stella, who saw everyone around her achieving success in their fields except herself. It seemed that Stella Howard was harboring a hidden resolve. Indeed, Lainey Leinster woke the next morning to discover that Stella had disappeared. Stella Howard had left the academy and taken refuge in an old, abandoned house belonging to her family. It did not take Alan long to find her, as Shelley Walker, the head maid of the Howard estate who had accompanied her, guided him there. Alan asked why she had left, and she opened her heart to him with bitterness. I have tried for a long time to reach my full magical power without success. What pains me most is that all my friends, even my younger sister, have surpassed me and become successful in their lives, while I remain the only one who is helpless and a failure. Alan reassured her with words filled with wisdom, citing his own relationship with Lydia Leinster as an example. He explained that his hesitation about marriage stemmed from seeing her remarkable success, while he felt he was still in the same place. He emphasized that stumbling in one test does not mean the end. Rather, it may open the door to another success. But for now, come with me so we can clear your mind a little. She went out with him, and they spent an enjoyable time that lifted her from the depression that had surrounded her. In the evening, he took her to a high place, then suddenly lifted her and flew with her into the sky, setting her down atop a tall building. "Open your eyes," he said. "Does this place remind you of anything?" It was the very place her mother used to describe to her in bedtime stories. Alan continued, "I have read all of your mother's books, and I know how much she believed in you and wanted you to succeed. You must fulfill her dream." These words filled Stella Howard with determination, and she vowed to begin training with all her strength. The next day, Stella Howard approached her sister and friends to issue a challenge to all three of them simultaneously. The girls laughed at her, but Alan surprised everyone by declaring that he would join Stella's team, instantly raising the level of excitement and difficulty. Everyone agreed to hold the battle in 2 weeks, and Alan and Stella began training immediately. Alan asked Stella to attack him to test her abilities. She struck with ice magic, but he evaded her blows with lightning speed. She attacked again with greater skill, yet he detonated the ice projectiles before they could reach him. Stella did not give up. She created a massive ice vortex and attacked from within it, but Alan countered her strike with force, knocking her to the ground. Adopting the tone of an experienced instructor, he said, "Today's training is over. You should not exhaust all your energy in a single session. Return home, rest, and think about your mistakes so you can avoid repeating them." Stella returned home contemplating her next steps. The following day, training resumed at a higher pace, and Stella Howard's level began to improve noticeably. Meanwhile, Alan continued studying Rosa Howard's book to extract precise information about the nature of Stella's magic, enabling him to design a regimen that mirrored her latent power for a quick release. Later, Alan sat with Stella in a restaurant, showing her images of her opponents, Tina Howard, Ellie Walker, and Lainey Leinster. He said with confidence, "You must understand their weaknesses and their strengths. With that understanding, you will be able to defeat them with ease. I will not leave you until you reach the level you aspire to." While the three girls trained with excessive confidence in their victory, they failed to realize that Stella Howard was refining her skills day after day. As Alan observed her attacks, he noticed that Stella's ice was beginning to acquire the same unique characteristics as Tina Howard's, confirming that both sisters had inherited the same legendary power from their mother and that Stella might eventually surpass everyone. The day of the decisive battle arrived. Alan appeared wearing the white mage's attire, and the girls prepared for the confrontation. The battle began with a fierce attack from Ellie Walker using wind magic, followed by Tina Howard with ice magic, but Alan stood firm and repelled their assaults. Lainey Leinster entered the fight, yet Alan intercepted her, skillfully using an ice shield to block Ellie's winds. Stella Howard launched her ice attacks, which Ellie countered with wind, but Stella did not retreat and clashed with her sister Tina in an evenly matched ice duel. Suddenly, Lainey Leinster attacked with lightning magic, shouting, "Prepare for defeat." Alan intervened to shield Stella while Ellie and Tina pressed their assault. Stella took cover behind a solid ice barrier as the brutal battle continued, with everyone pouring out their energy without mercy. However, Alan and Stella were saving their true power for the decisive moment. When an opening appeared, Stella unleashed a devastating ice force. Ellie Walker tried to reverse it with wind, but Alan stepped in, pushing Ellie aside to clear the path for Stella. Alan whispered in her ear, "Be careful." Tina Howard was preparing her finishing blow, and her power was not to be underestimated. Indeed, Tina summoned a giant ice wolf in a magnificent display. At that moment, Alan took Stella Howard's hand and merged their power. Two ice birds burst forth from them, shattering Tina's wolf in an instant. Alan looked at Stella and said, "I have brought you to the peak of the power you dreamed of. Now you must rely on yourself." Stella Howard gathered the energy of the two birds into her sword and prepared her final strike. In response, the three girls combined their power to support Lainey Linster with lightning, making her the spearhead of the counterattack. Stella and Lainey charged at each other in a tremendous clash, but Stella released her full latent power and defeated Lainey, deciding the battle in her favor. Sorrow did not befall the defeated girls. Instead, joy filled their hearts at Stella's success and her rise to such a high level. Tears of joy flowed from the eyes of those present. As Alan left the field after completing his task, Lisa Linster followed him and offered a handkerchief to wipe his tears of emotion. She thanked him deeply for his exceptional efforts, saying, "You are a rare talent we cannot do without. Prepare yourself to teach even more girls." The day ended in a celebration of will and love. The following morning, Alan met with Stella Howard and asked her to accompany him to his room. There, he showed her a letter that had just arrived from her father, Walter Howard. The letter stated, "My beloved daughter, I am immensely proud of you and the high rank you have achieved through your own hard work. Please do not hold any resentment toward me. My previous opposition was not meant to belittle your abilities. Today, you proved that you can face any hardship, and I eagerly await your return home because I miss you dearly." Upon reading these words, Stella wept with joy. As the day concluded, the professor arrived to inform Alan that Walter had sent a new contract, allowing him to continue his journey as their educator. In this way, everyone fulfilled their dreams and overcame their obstacles, while Alan discovered his true calling in teaching. However, the story is far from over. Gerard continues to harbor a deep-seated hatred and is waiting for the perfect opportunity to seek revenge against Alan.